Can you see me now? Wait a minute, I think I can see you. All right, there you are. If you're having trouble focusing, you probably need to eat some collard greens. Stay right where you are, and when we come back, we'll clear things up for you. Don't go away. Okay, let's clear things up. In order for you to be the healthiest person that you can be, we understand by now that you need to be eating a lot more plant foods. And if you're like me, I can't get enough collard greens, cabbage, turnip greens, and recently I've started cooking broccoli another way that makes it taste even better. And actually, I'm wondering if those of us who grew up eating broccoli and putting cheese sauce on it, once you put onions and garlic in it, it gives it another whole flavor. My son's godmother, Joyce, lives in Atlanta, Georgia, and she cooked it something like this one time, and we couldn't stop eating it, and so that's the only way that I've done it. Let's first look at collard greens. Usually, if you're going to cook collard greens, you need to put a piece of Fatback or something like that in there. Well, if you're cooking up good health, that's not on the recipe list. So I'm going to cook these 3 dishes for you today using pretty much the same ingredients for each one, but the outcome of each is going to be totally different. We started out with red onion and sliced garlic in olive oil. Use as little or as much as you want. Then what I'm going to do, as this has now started to simmer, I'm going to take this non-meat chicken style kind of seasoning and add that in here. Then I'm going to take this other yeast product, and most health food stores carry it. You want to ask for the one that gives food a smoked flavor. And you just put it in the pot like that. Oh, you should smell this. I'm telling you, we would meet so many people in Atlanta when we operated Lifestyle Principles. And I remember doing one presentation for a breast cancer meeting, and we tested these collard greens, and there was a lady there from Ohio. She wanted to take this ingredient back on the plane with her because when she got off the plane, she was planning to go to the store and buy some collard greens to cook in. Next, we're going to add some water. You can put as little or as much as you like, and we're going to bring this back to a boil. Now, why should you be eating collard greens? Because they bring you chlorophyll, a whole bunch of other phytochemicals. But I want to speak now to people of color, African American, Oriental, Hispanic, Caribbean American, or Caribbean, and African for that matter. For some reason, we don't possess the ability to digest milk sugar. And if you listen to everything in the media, the only way that you're supposed to be able to get calcium is if you drink milk and all those other products. And for the most part, many of us are severely allergic to them. What I want to let you know is, and if you don't believe me, go online, check it out, because I know some of you are thinking, that can't be true. It just can't be true. There is more calcium in a cup of collard greens than it is in a cup of milk. More calcium in a cup of collard greens than it is in a cup of milk. And I haven't been to any of my friends and family gatherings where any of the people there eat just a half a cup of collard green. When you eat collard greens, you're going to eat a whole half a plate of collard green and some cornbread on the side. So if you're having trouble with dairy foods and aren't sure if you want to do a lot of supplementation for calcium, just go right on and get you a mess of collard greens and you shouldn't have any more problem. Now once this starts boiling again, all we're going to do is take some of the greens and drop them into the broth. And as we drop them into the broth, they're going to start to steam. And as they start to steam, they're going to get nice and tender, and the more you put in and the more steam is in it, they're just going to start to shrink down. I enjoy having the privilege of going out to my garden. My husband Eddie has planted a garden on and off for the last 24 years since we've been married. And during this year, we did a winter garden, and he planted collard greens, and I think he did turnip. They had really nice turnip roots on them. We did some broccoli and some cauliflower, and nothing, well, a few things please me more, but I really do enjoy going out to the garden and picking just the amount of greens that I want to cook, because face it, it's hard work when you're doing fresh collard greens. But if you can go right out to the garden and get just the amount that you want to have, then it's not nearly as bad. I keep stirring these in and stirring them down. And I'm starting to wonder if the old time way of cooking greens where they cooked all day was because those of us in our community were out somewhere in the field, so they had to simmer all day until we came back. But when you get collard greens and cook them, and you're picking them from the winter time, once the frost has hit the collard greens, you don't have to cook them all day. So I also wonder if sometimes when older people, older black people in particular, cook their greens a long time, they're trying to get the same flavor of the winter green that they ate, and it takes a longer time for them to get tender. If you pick winter greens after the frost has hit them, honey, not a problem. The other thing that I have learned, a friend of mine in Atlanta, Claret English, asked me to do a presentation for him one time, and he introduced me to the collard greens from Ethiopia. And in Ethiopia, they add ginger and red pepper flakes, fresh red bell pepper to the greens. I couldn't eat them the first time I made them for Claret because they were too spicy, and I just don't do a lot of spice. But I tell you what, if you are interested in adding any of those ingredients, it really does make a difference. I'm going to put the rest of these greens in here, and we'll be right back, and I'll show you how to make some slamming cabbage. Don't go away. Looking for ways to improve your health? It's not as hard as you might think, and it's what your doctor has already told you. Go to bed before 10 every night. Walk 20 to 30 minutes a day. Get a daily sun bath. Eat more plant foods. Start saying no. Drink some clear, cool water. Take some deep breaths and yield to the power of the divine. These simple lifestyle principles are transforming people's lives and helping them to celebrate healthy living. Join the celebration. We often hear about the dangers of sunlight and its risks for skin cancer. Well, those warnings should not go unheeded. Overexposure to sunlight does increase your risk for skin cancer, but have you ever heard about the benefits of moderate sun exposure? Sunlight in moderation, which is about 15 to 30 minutes per day, can really benefit the body. Daily exposure can increase circulation and help red blood cells carry more oxygen, convert a cholesterol-like substance to vitamin D, increase the number of white blood cells in the body, improve liver function, reduce arthritic joint pain, kill certain germs on exposure, reduce tumor size, promote restful sleep, and impart a healthy tone to the mind and nervous system. Diabetics will benefit with the lowering of blood sugar, blood pressure, cholesterol, and triglycerides, and thereby reduce their risk for heart disease and stroke. And it helps to prevent and counteract depression. So go ahead, get a little sunlight every day. You don't have to stay in it all day. Take a walk, work in the yard, sit in a window, and study the Word. I promise you'll feel better if you do. Okay, look, they're boiling hard now, and we're going to put the cover on top of them, and I'm going to show you how to make some cabbage. But I want to tell you, I was at the hair salon, at Tiffany's Hair Salon, and my girlfriends Carnice and Jackie, they have company over a lot of times. I gave them this recipe for the collard greens. This is the only way they cook it. Some of you may be saying, why is she going to use the same recipes, all the same ingredients for all these vegetables? When you're cooking with Fatback, you put that in everything. So why can't I put this in everything? And it'd be healthy for me. We're going to start off the cabbage now with a little olive oil in the pan. And then my student, Melissa, cut this cabbage up for me really well. And I'm going to start out by putting the darker green leaves in the pan first, because they're going to take a little longer to cook than the whiter leaves here. I asked my mother's girlfriend, Sandra, she and I were talking one day about, in some of the grocery stores, when you go in nowadays, you see that in the cabbage section, they have taken off all of the green leaves. And my mother's girlfriend, Sandra, asked the man, well, what do you do with the green leaves? He said, man, we just throw them away. She said, well, can I buy them from you? He said, I guess so. How much will they cost? I don't know, about 5 or 20 cents a pound. I don't know how much to charge you for it. She's like, give me a bag of them, because that's where all the nutrients are. The darker the food, the more nutrients you find in there. Now, my mom, who passed away in January of 2006, used to be the lead cook in our ministry when we were living in Atlanta, Georgia. And one of the things that we did was this lifestyle improvement program for patients, and we would teach them the simple ways to make lifestyle changes to have a healthier lifestyle. And we would do that for about 2 days. But on the morning of the 3rd day, Mommy would teach them how to make this same cabbage recipe without any of that fatback or other harmful stuff that's in it. And they were supposed to go shopping to the grocery store after that class was over. After lunch was over, she couldn't get them up to go out to the store because they were so full and happy, they just wanted to stay there and eat the food. Well, as you continue to stir this around, remember once before, I think I told you that your collard greens, your cabbage, and your broccoli are members of the cruciferous vegetable family. And those foods are especially beneficial for you when you're trying to improve your blood pressure and other diseases like that. But when it comes to fighting cancer, sulforaphane is one of those phytochemicals that you find in all of these foods, especially in your broccoli, which we're going to cook in the next segment. And it acts as powerfully as some of the drugs that doctors will recommend you without all of the side effects. So if you know somebody who has a garden or somebody who's trying to eat more healthfully and they don't know how to cook their cabbage, this is one of the ways that you can show them how to do it. Okay, now we're going to put in those 2 ingredients. This is that chicken-like seasoning. We're going to put some of that in there. And then this is that smoke kind of seasoning, because many people who leave out the fatback will use turkey wings instead. And sometimes they'll say, is that bad for you? I say, well, that depends on what you're trying to do. If you're not trying to eat fatback, that's good. But if you're trying to reduce your cholesterol, that's not so good, because the turkey wings, when you cut them off the turkey, the cholesterol stays in the wings. Okay, we've got that going. We're going to add some water. And this looks like it's got a little charcoal flavor. We're going to bring this back to a boil. And one of the interesting things that Mommy used to teach the lifestyle guests, we called them, when they came to the clinic, was that when you cook the cabbage, what you don't want to do is put the top on the pot, because that turns the cabbage that ugly brown color. All right, let's put this right here while this is coming to a boil and check on these collard greens. They're changing color. These must have been hit by the frost. These didn't come from Mr. Goodman's garden. But you can see already that they're cooking down really well. Okay, now back to the cabbage. Here we go. And we're going to take this cabbage that Melissa cut up for me, and we're just going to put it right in here, and we're going to do that same stir down process. A few years ago, I was cooking some turnip greens, and I put a little hot pepper in them, and it was a little hotter than I wanted it to be. And I was trying to avoid eating hot pepper, and when I tasted those, I'm thinking, there's no way I can eat these. So something said, why don't you get some cabbage and put it in the turnip greens? Well, using these same ingredients, this smoke tasting yeast and this chicken style seasoning, olive oil, put those turnip greens in the pot and you cook those down, and then you just put the cabbage on top of the pot and let it steam down and then stir it up. And many times your turnip greens are really bitter. When you put the cabbage in the turnip greens, they sweeten up. Oh, they're so good. And then, you know, some people don't like turnip greens. They'll eat collards or kale, but turnips they don't like. When you put the cabbage in there, I don't even know how to describe it. They don't quite look like spinach, but they look different. It doesn't look like it's cabbage and turnip greens. And every time I have cooked them, people keep asking, what you put in here? What is this? I'm like, oh, just a little turnip and cabbage, that's all. Here we go. You see how it's cooking down? And what you need to go with this are some black-eyed peas and okra and some cornbread. Well, we got the cornbread. Can you see it? You might be able to see it next time we air because you'll be eating some of this food, and then your vision will start to clear up. And now that I think about that, my husband and I have worked with type 2 diabetic patients who are starting to experience the effects of their diseases. And one of the things that we really noticed with them is how their vision was improved. Okay, we've got this cabbage in the pot. We're going to take a break, and then we'll be back and I'll show you how to cook some broccoli.
While there is a lot in the news today about caring for the earth and being green in your life choices, do you have any idea how eating green can improve your health? Today, science is admitting that not only will you improve your health, but you can also reduce your risk of disease. Green foods are excellent sources of lutein, which help maintain good vision, reduce the risk of cataracts, and protect from age-related macular degeneration. Indoles and sulforaphane, which reduce cancer risk and inhibit tumor growth in the fight against cancer. Carotenoids, which activate natural killer cells that destroy viruses and cancer cells, thereby strengthening the immune system. Chlorophyll, which is a natural inflammatory and reduces the absorption of toxins. Lots of fiber, which aids digestion and elimination. And cholesterol-lowering monounsaturated fat, which is found in avocados. So while you're out there reducing, reusing, and recycling, get busy and start eating green. I wish you could taste these collards I just made. Next time you're thirsty, don't reach for coffee, sweet tea, punch, or soda. Get a big old glass of water instead. Though beverages other than water taste really good, they do very little to quench thirst, and they often contain substances that promote many of the poor health conditions that we are trying to avoid. Since our bodies are about 3/4 water, it is vitally important to give it a fresh supply. Start out with about 8-ounce glasses a day, or half your weight in ounces. And don't wait until you're thirsty. By then, you're already dehydrated. Internally, water helps to, among other things, purify the blood, keep your bowels regular, regulate body temperature, and help to resist disease. When applied externally, water can increase red and white blood cell production, improve circulation, help to relieve pain, and help you sleep better. Diabetics who adopt healthy lifestyle habits and under clinical conditions receive hydrotherapy are reversing neuropathy and saving toes, feet, and legs from amputations. Now that's something to celebrate. Want to feel better? Drink some water.
Listen, I'm not one for doing a lot of dancing, but while we were at break, I was all over this kitchen. These collard greens are cooking up so fast. My son has this little movement he does when the food is good. You know how the back end just goes in motion. By the time this show is over, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. Collard greens, cabbage, and now we're going to show you how to do broccoli too. We're going to start out in a flat pan. And of course, we're going to use a little olive oil. And you know what? If you're concerned about olive oil or oil for that matter, just do remember that although this is good, you got to be careful how much you use, because there's as much fat in olive oil as it is canola oil, as it is fatback, as it is lard. So calorie for calorie, it's the same thing. It's just that with your plant oils, it doesn't have the harmful saturated fat and cholesterol. It has all of the good fats, the monounsaturated fatty acids, and everything that your body needs in order to keep you healthy. Okay, this is how Ivy's auntie does the broccoli. We put the onions in the pan, and we put garlic in the pan. How easy is this? We were out at my girlfriend Edna's for dinner, and her sister Pat was visiting from Florida, and we were all dancing in the kitchen because we hadn't tasted broccoli that tasted like this. It was just so good. And when you think about it, it's just a regular all green vegetable, and for the most part in our culture, that's how we cook those things: onions, bell peppers, and garlic. And so when I started cooking it this way, I think I might even get my son to eat broccoli if we, no, maybe not. All right, you got this cooking, and now we're just going to add in the broccoli, and it's pretty much like stir frying it actually. And then we're just going to stir it around. And the more you stir, the more tender it becomes. And depending on the type of day that it is, you might want to add a little water to it. I think I am going to put some water in here. Okay, so we're going to stir fry this a little longer. And I think this needs a little more oil. Put a little more olive oil. And now I'm going to add this chicken style seasoning. That's all I put in here, y'all. That's it. And I'm going to add some water, and it should go steamy right quick. And stir some more. Oh, that looks so good. Isn't that better than broccoli dripping in butter? Your poor body probably couldn't get the nutrients it needed from the broccoli because it was fighting to come through the fat. Okay. Of course, if you're like my aunt, Renee, she never ever cooks any of these vegetables, especially broccoli or cabbage, unless she adds bell peppers and all that to it. So if you want to make your cabbage even have more phytochemical punch, you could, of course, add, we just put green peppers in this one, but you could put red and yellow in there. And then my husband likes cauliflower, so you could make this like a broccoli cauliflower kind of stir fry Southern home African American cooking dish. I think this would be beautiful served over a bed of yellow rice. Don't you think that would look good? But of course we know that the yellow rice is really brown rice that's been made yellow by turmeric. Okay, let's look at the collard greens. They're getting more tender by the moment. I think they're almost done. I wish you could smell them. We are stinking up this kitchen. Now, I mentioned earlier in the show that the Ethiopian way of cooking the collard greens is to also add some red peppers to them. So I'm going to put some red peppers in here. And I've only got a little bit today, but you can put as many or as little as you like. My husband doesn't mind the flavor, but my son learned how to pick things out of food that he doesn't like. And you know, I don't want him to not want to come to dinner, so I try not to put as many red peppers in when I'm cooking for him. But the red peppers add a beautiful color, but they also give it a really good flavor also. And then if you want, you can put ginger in there, some other kind of peppers if you'd like to do that, and any other thing that you'd like. I have one student that I taught, a Minta Bullard, who cooks hers with tomatoes in them. And when you think about it, going back in the African American community, from the mainland of America back through the islands, back to the mother continent of Africa, so many of the wonderful things that started out over there have traveled with us as we've made our journey over to this land. And so as long as you're using the healthy ingredients, you can keep cooking up good health and add the things that your family likes. I think we're getting ready to take a break, and when we come back, it's going to be some good eating, y'all. See you in a few minutes. Looking to improve your health? You might think twice before you grab that cup of coffee. Caffeine is a stimulant that picks you up, but only temporarily. But you already knew that, right? I wonder if you knew that caffeine is addictive, elevates blood sugar and triglycerides, increases blood pressure, worsens PMS symptoms, increases stomach acid secretion, causes insomnia, irregular heartbeat, and increased stimulation of the nervous system, overriding the body's need for rest. To really make it through the day, tap into the body's own natural stimulant, rest. The rest we gain during nightly sleep is vitally important to help the body respond to the duties of the day. It also helps diabetics respond better to insulin. The 3 hours between 9 p.m. and midnight are the best time to go to sleep because those 3 hours are really worth 6 to the body. During that time, the body restores itself to get you ready for the next full day. And when the body is fully rested, you awaken, usually without an alarm and with enough energy to face the day without that cup of coffee. Join the celebration. Get some rest starting tonight. Okay, let me taste. Oh, so good. I got cornbread here. I don't know whether I should eat the cornbread with the collard green or the broccoli, or the cabbage. I think I'm gonna eat the cornbread with my son Ivy, who loves to cook up good health with me.
Yes.
And who loves to eat his cornbread with honey on it. Here we go, sweetheart. Listen, thanks for joining us. Next time you're in the kitchen, try and cook up some good health. See you next time. His cornbread is gone.
Thanks for watching today. If you or someone you know suffers from diabetic neuropathy, peripheral arterial disease, or peripheral vascular disease, there is hope for you. The staff at Lifestyle Therapeutics is waiting to get you back on your feet. To find out how, give our office a call at 256-704-2352. And while you're at it, register for our free monthly First Thursdays Lifestyle for Better Health class. Can't make the class? Meet me at Garden Cove Produce, where we'll be cooking up good health. We look forward to showing you how to make better choices and helping you to recover your health. Give us a call today at 256-704-2352. Lifestyle Therapeutics is centrally located at 4825 University Square, Suite 9, Huntsville. Lifestyle Therapeutics, where circulation means health.
To learn more about Donna's victory over breast cancer, pick up her book, Something to Shout About. It chronicles her journey in a straightforward, personal way. Something to Shout About is available online through Remnant Publications or locally at Garden Cove Produce. Get your copy today.
Cooking up good health now. Wait a minute. Hold my mule.